I'm sorry, the radio is a Yaesu ST897. Now that's what I'm transmitting with. That's my transmitter. And I've got to separately tune the SDR radio. I have an SDR Pro running through a laptop here, and boy, it is just a super receiver, super sensitive, all kinds of features on it. I'm still getting used to it.
Roger that. So you have some kind of a circuit there that when you transmit, you mute the computer.
Well, I have to do it by hand, but you know what I found? Your signal is strong enough that I can leave the receiver on a grounded stub piece, and I do get some feedback. I hope you don't hear it. But if you're coming in far on that grounded stub, it's picking up enough, I guess, just from the other ground part of the other second dipole going into it.
Roger that. Roger that. Well, there should be a feature, I would think, that you could, automatically mute the audio, or at least when you transmit. Roger.
Yes, Roger. So, are you picking up the feedback coming in over my mic?
No, that's fairly clean. I'm just, theorizing that, that's probably not. You're not the first one that's been running that computer program. I guess it is. So you would think there would be a feature there that would make it a lot easier to run it by muting the audio or disabling the receiver when you go in the transmit mode. Roger.
Roger that. The big thing, the important thing is that you ground the antenna going into the SDR receiver, and because of 500 watts here on a second dipole, it can overload it and take out the front end of that SDR receiver. So I've got to work on that. I've got some components I've selected for a separate relay, and it'll be fired by the same one that fires the Amatron linear amplifier.
Roger. Yeah, well, you could easily work up an RF sample off your, residual RF in the room that would activate a relay that would just disable the, put an external speaker on your computer, a little amp off your computer, and then put that relay right there and disrupt the speaker and transmit.
Yes, roger that. Can you hear the slight delay background with me talking here from it coming over the computer speaker?
No, it sounds fairly clean. Now you do, you're missing a bunch of bottom end. You're very mid-rangey, Roger.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's probably how I'm holding this hand mic. And I guess. Yeah, it looks like I'm right on frequency here, but so it's more treble and not much bottom end. Is that a copy?
Oh, that's a Roger. Now, if you've got your equalizer in your radio, you might check the EQ and see what the setup is there.
Yes, I will do that. I'll go in and take a check on that and see. I guess Bill was working with me before, and we kind of set it up, I thought, from what he was hearing on his end, but boy, I know that's all subject to the receiving end as well as the transmitting end. But I'll do some work on that. I appreciate your comment.
Roger. Probably just a thing for talking down the road. Well, you are talking down the road, but I mean in a pile-up, it would cut that way, but probably just everyday, usage, you probably could use just a little more bottom end. Now, I wouldn't go crazy, but just check it and see. You're copying your signal on your flex.
Well, I hear it coming through on the flex with a slight delay, and it does sound a little remote. But I can't tell. It's too close here with this speaker on the laptop. I've got a well, it's a Bluetooth, but it's plugged into an auxiliary in. Roger.
Now I did hear some of the delay audio coming back, and it was kind of oscillating on down, you know, so I could hear at that time. But on your Flex, if you look at your signal audio, that should show the bottom end situation, you know.
Okay, well, it's not a Flex, it's an SDR Pro receiver only module. My total transmission is going through the FT897 into the Amatron ALS 500 linear here. So I'll have to adjust my transmit tone on the 897. Go ahead.
Yeah, roger that, roger that. But your does not your computer program show you audio bandpass of when you transmit?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in this program yet. It's called Uno SDR, and I'm still playing around with it. That's a good thing. Let's see if I can get a transmit spectrum up here.
Roger. Well, it's just be a receive. Since you're not muting your program, it's still running. It would just be looking at your receive audio, and when you transmit, it would be looking at your audio. Roger.
Roger. Yeah. That's what I meant. The transmit coming in through the module. Well, I've got to play with it some and do some looking. I don't see something that's exactly obvious, but I know there's got to be another screen that comes up here that I should be able to use. When I look on the printout itself on the screen, the waterfall, of course, there's just a very broad spectrum, about 3-4 kilohertz wide.
Roger that, roger that. Now, FYI, we do a lot of Qso-Vlog recording for YouTube, and I have been recording our Qso, so you will be able to hear your audio. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that'll bring up our Qso-Vlog page, and right at the top of the page should be our Qso. I'll probably be posting this in the next couple of days, Roger.
Okay, very good. That's just perfect. That is a super way to use YouTube. I like that. Just for ID, November, Quebec 3 Papa with KC9VKV.
Roger, roger. And like I say, your audio, you'll be able to hear that and probably detect the, you know, that you might want to put a little more bottom end in your audio, Roger.
Roger, roger. I'm going to get out the FT897 manual and look to see how to go about that. There's quite a menu selection on this thing with several branches, but I will look at that and maybe try to figure that out and see if I can help it.
Roger, roger. And while you're there, you might look at your processor, your compressor, and maybe I've found about, you know, if you have a 1 to 10 capability on your compressor, if you engage the compressor and run about a 3 to a 4, that will fatten your signal up considerably. And then once you get it, you know, you're doing that at about a 3 or 4, then go to your ALC mode and look at your your ALC level and adjust that ALC level right up against the right-hand max position. And that way you'll be the strongest. And once you get your compressor running at about a 3 or so, it's a lot easier to set your ALC because the ALC meter is not jumping everywhere. It's being held up by the compressor. So it's a lot easier to set your ALC level. Roger?
Roger, roger. I'm right here as you talk, trying to get all that down. Very good. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, what was the name? I failed to put that down.
Roger. The name here is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike. And what's the name there?
The name here is Bill, Bravo, India, Lima, Lima.
Roger, Bill. And what's your call sign phonetically again, please?
November, Quebec, 3, Papa, BILL-NQ3P.
Oh, Roger. Well, I like the call sign there. It's nice and short and to the point, Roger.
Yeah, well, I was lucky on that. It's a Pennsylvania call sign that you recognize with the 3. I started out there many years ago, but live in Aiken, South Carolina, right near Augusta, Georgia.
Oh, Roger that. Roger that. That's your location now, Georgia?
Augusta, no. The location is Aiken, South Carolina. We are 17 miles east of Augusta, Georgia, just across the Savannah River.
Ah, Roger that. Roger that. Well, so how is that computer receiver faring over your regular radio receiver?
Well, I really like it. The radio receiver does pretty good, of course, but this just has so many features. I'm still getting used to it, but the sensitivity is something else. And of course, I love the waterfall. You can see who's there and right where they are and go right to them, and if the band's active or not.
Roger that. Yeah, I've been comparing notes with a guy that's got a Flex, and looking at receive audio since we do the Qso-Vlog recordings, and I was coming out of the speaker out of the Yaesu 990, and it was about 6 or 7 dB warm in the mid-range over flat, and now I'm coming out of the line out, and it's a lot closer to what the Flex was audio was sounding like, Roger.
Okay, now I missed what are you using for your receiver? The one I have is an SDR Play RST2 Pro.
Roger. Now this guy's got the Flex. I don't have the Flex, but I've heard he has posted some Qso recordings that were just unbelievably clean on his Flex receiver, and so we've been comparing notes, and I've got my Yaesu 990 as the radio I use, which is about 15 years old, but we're coming out of the line out, and also we're running the notch filter to where the audio is very white noise situation in bandpass, very balanced audio out, Roger.
Roger, I paused there for a minute because I have you on, I've grounded one side of my receive dipole, and you are coming in now at a 5 on my S meter, but that's not with the full dipole. And when you're not on, when it's quiet there, my noise level is a 1 on the S meter here on this SDR, which is just armchair coffee on you. Absolutely beautiful audio. It couldn't be any better that I could find. So that's mainly because of your signal being strong and coming in and with perfect audio. But this little SDR is going all right. I think it's a $200 module. I got it from HRO and just finally had time to start messing with it. BILL-NQ3P.
Roger that, Roger that. Well, I'm sure it's going to keep you busy for a few months learning all of the features of it, you know. I would think, though, that the first thing that you have to tackle is receiver mute in transmit. If you can get that taken care of. And like I say, you're not I wouldn't think you're the first one that's running that program that has a problem, so you might look on, oh gosh, maybe you could Google it. If you don't find a ready cure in the manual for that SDR receiver, how to mute it in transmit, external transmit, then I would go to Google and put the model number in there, question mute during transmit, question mark, you know.
Roger that, Roger that. There's a users group, and I'm sure that they will help out here. So you are getting, I guess, some feedback that you can hear through the mic here when I'm transmitting. So I definitely got to take care of that. All right. Appreciate all your information and your help, and I hope we can get back together further on down the line. This morning I was working with a Micro BitX transceiver. It's a little one, and I've got low power out on it. I've only got about 3 watts come out instead of 10. And I was really doing some work on that and talking to South Cars, and then happened to notice you on there through the waterfall. So I checked you out and heard you call CQ. So I kind of got distracted from my micro BitX, but you know, I'm glad that we talked, and you give me some very good tips and pointers, and now I've got my homework cut out.
Roger that. Roger that. Well, just remember, your ALC meter is your friend, but you want to put that your level right up against the right-hand max part of your ALC. That will be your loudest, but you want to stay within the confines of max ALC reading, and then you know, check out running maybe a 2-3 dB, well, not dB, but the number 2 or number 3 position on your compressor to fatten your signal, and then check out your ALC. Roger, roger.
Roger, roger. Very good. Thank you. Is there distortion in the audio, have you noticed?
Well, a little bit, but that's because it's so mid-rangey. If you had more bottom end, that might be distorted also. You know, it's hard to say, but your level is good. It's just the tonality of it, I think. You know, but you might get somebody else's opinion. Roger.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. You've got a lot of experience, it sounds like, working with that. Your audio is superb, so I'm going to listen. I was just looking at this mic, the handheld Yaesu mic, and I was thinking, some of them have a treble and bass button. I don't think this one does, but, you know, I'm going to check it a little more.
Roger that, roger that. The other aspects of it would be we're running with a swing arm and a microphone, homebrew condenser microphone, and we're running a really tight mic with a windscreen, foam windscreen. And I advise you know, everybody to run tight mic, because you know, our shacks are less than audio perfection a lot of times, you know, and we have to put up with dogs, cats, mother-in-laws, and owls, and crickets, and you know, all mannerisms of things. So when you work tight mic, you eliminate a lot of those, or at least improve your chances of not having problems with them, because your proximity to mic is so much hotter than you know, it would capture other residual things. So you always, I think, have a better chance of having less distractions at talking tight mic with a windscreen. But you have to use a windscreen to be able to do it. Otherwise, you know, it just is terrible gibberish and plosives and all kinds of things. But the foam windscreen will take all that out, and you can just be right up on it. And your audio modulation consistency is vastly improved by tight miking. Roger.
Alpha Victor Tango.
Alpha Victor Tango. Go ahead, sir.
Well, yeah, I don't want to interrupt. I just wanted to let you know I was here. I'll stand by until you're done. I'm actually coming to you live on a TR-781 here on this radio.
Roger, roger. I'll catch you in just a second. Roger, roger.
Okay, and thank you to the other gentleman. I didn't mean to, you know, interrupt there. I'll stand by.
Roger, Bill, you still have a copy?
Yes, yes. Yeah, please invite the other person to come in. I'm going to start looking through a manual and see what I can find out about going through the menus of this FT897 while you guys are talking. If that's okay, I'll be in the side. BILL-NQ3P.
Roger, roger, Bill. 3's for now. And Eric, stand by just a moment, please.